We are all about here facts, not fear, and providing information to keep you and your loved ones safe. And that's why we brought in the one, the only, Dr. Payal Kohli. Look how cute with that little choker thing. Is that part of the dress?
It is part of the dress, but I love your dress today.
Yeah, we're a little in the 70s palm fronds restaurant here having some salad. All right, Dr. Payal Kohli, you join us again to answer your questions about the coronavirus. Before we start, I want to ask about the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. He is a world leader, and as we know from yesterday, he was just admitted into the ICU because he did catch the virus. Doctor, is going to the ICU a really bad sign of what's to come, or have you seen people come back?
So, Tori, you know, the most common reason that people end up in the ICU with this infection, because it is a lung infection, is respiratory distress. And what we're hearing about Boris Johnson is that he's on supplemental oxygen. So thankfully, he's not yet on a ventilator, which obviously carries with it a more severe prognosis. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed that things don't progress, because in the second week of the illness is really when you start to see the inflammation and the lung damage that can certainly cause some people to end up on the ventilator. So the numbers can be scary if you look at the studies, because up to half of the people that get into the ICU don't come out. But that's people who are on a ventilator and, you know, have other problems. So hopefully the Prime Minister is going to do okay, but it's hard to tell at this point which way things are going to go.
That is scary. I've heard the second week is really the week from hell. It's not easy. Well, Doc, our first viewer question comes from Molly. Thanks for writing in. She says, I've heard conflicting reports about washing my produce with soap and water. Should we really be washing what we're going to eat with soap? And Doc, I want to remind you, we said on our show yesterday to use soap, and I got a lot of conflicting reports about this. We'd love to clear it up with an expert.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So soap is really important because soap has fat particles in it, or particles that can interrupt the outer membrane of the virus. So it's really good at destroying that virus. And this virus is particularly sensitive to soap. So water alone, we know, is not as good as soap and water. But what types of soap are safe to use in our food? You're probably not going to want to use hand soap or bar soap on your food, but instead dishwashing soap. So I think of it just like we're washing our dishes, which we eat off of. Just make sure you get all that soap off, you know, after you rinse it off. But if you do get it off, it's probably actually a good idea to use soap and water rather than water alone, because it is more effective at destroying that virus.
That's awesome.
And the way I like to actually wash the produce is for that 20 seconds, just like I would wash my hands. So
little happy birthday.
Think of your produce just like your hands.
Okay.
Sing happy birthday twice.
Pomegranate, happy birthday. Sandra writes in, my nails are getting really bad and I can't take it. Is it okay to have my nail tech come to my house if she's been in quarantine?
Unfortunately, Sandra, I wouldn't advise that at this point, just because if she comes to you or you go to her, regardless of how quarantined you've been, you're exposing risks to each other and to the community. So try to put up with it, and hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to get back to those salons.
Yeah, I agree. And also those press-on nails you can order are good too. Trust me, I wear them all the time. Finally, and very quickly, our final question comes from Kelly. She wants to know if it's safer to go grocery shopping on your own, or should she have her groceries delivered by a stranger?
So Kelly, anything you can do to avoid face-to-face contact with people, as horrible as that sounds, is the right thing to do at this point. So try to get them delivered to your house, but have the person leave them outside if that's possible, or at least be 6 feet away if that's possible. And then when you bring them into your house, make sure you wash them real carefully like we talked about, because somebody else has handled the groceries and the packaging.
All right, that's fantastic. Good to know. Before we go, it is time for Dr. Kohli's Silver Lining. Yes, Lord. I was trying to do it like Southern, like with this, but today you're going to tell us about a group of scientists who have turned the shape of the virus into music. And in fact, if you listen closely right now, the music is playing behind you right now. Tell us how this is possible, Doc.
So Tori, this is Tim the Beaver from MIT up to his genius again. So this is a study out of MIT. That it actually took, you know, so the virus has spikes on it, and those spikes are what causes it to stick to the receptors in the lungs. So they actually took the spike protein and made music out of every single amino acid. They correlated that with a musical note.
Wow.
So now you're probably asking me, why would somebody want to do this, right?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, and so the reason they want to do this is because it brings out the patterns in the amino acids, so it helps us identify targets for drugs.
Wow.
So by making this into a musical selection, we can actually tell where the drugs would work. And we can also tell if previous drugs that we've used for other viruses and other diseases would work on this one. So it's really brilliant. And Tim the Beaver has done it again.
We've done it again. Thank you, Dr. Kohli. Again, Dr. Kohli returns tomorrow. So wonderful to have you. If you do have a question about coronavirus, write in to us on social media. You can email info@dailyblastlive.com. We are no panic, and people got mad yesterday. I didn't do my shoulders. No panic, just prevention and precautions. I'm exhausted.